Hey comic book guys and gals, I'm Joe and welcome to Anachronic Comics. Now a week ago we had a great episode of the Comic Book Crowd where we discussed whether new comic books have become too expensive, potentially closing out some readers and collectors from buying comics that they want to read or just to put in their collection. So I think it's a worthwhile video and I suggest you take a look at it. I've put a link above and at the end of this video. Our discussion during that Comic Book Crowd episode got me thinking about how, when I began reading comic books again in 2007, I fell into so many rabbit holes and bad habits that I ended up with so many comic books I don't have room for and many I haven't even read. I started thinking what mistakes I've made and what I should have done differently. And based on those mistakes, what advice would I have given myself back then, before I bought that copy of All-Star Superman at the LCS on 33rd Street 16 years ago? So here goes. Collecting comic books is not as easy as it sounds. Some people collect to read, others to sell, some do both. Now there are some pitfalls that you need to avoid if you want to enjoy this hobby and not regret it later. So here are 5 of them. First, I bought too many comics at once. Now this is a common mistake that many beginners make. I remember first going into the comic book shop and being overwhelmed by all the comic books and fighting, unsuccessfully I guess, the urge to buy a ton of them. I was so excited by the variety and the availability of comics that I ended up buying more than I could read, store, or even afford. I continued to do so for many years, so this leads to a pile of unread comics that take up space and money, and very likely will be worth less than the cover price over time. A better approach is to buy only what you can read in a reasonable time, and focus on quality stories over quantity. Maybe read some stories online before deciding to buy a particular comic book run. You can always buy more comics later, but you can't undo a bad purchase. Second, buying new comics often lead me to the temptation of buying older books to complete collections or just to read older stories, and that's fine. But don't blindly buy comics to complete a run without doing your research, like I didn't. Before you buy an older comic book, you should do some research on its history, value, the condition of what you're buying, and the demand for the comic book. You don't want to pay too much for a comic that's not worth it, or miss out on a rare gem that's underpriced. You also don't want to buy a comic that's damaged or incomplete, or worse of all, a fake. There are many resources online and offline that can help you learn more about comic book values. Such as price guides, grading services, forums, blogs, podcasts, and experts. So use them wisely, and don't be afraid to ask questions of your friends in the comic book community. Third, I didn't take care of comics I bought as a kid, and not only did their value suffer as a result, but some are so delicate now that I really can't enjoy looking through them because they're fragile. Yes, comic books, especially older books, are fragile and susceptible to wear and tear. If you want to place a comic book in your personal collection, then you should take proper care of them. What does this mean? It means storing them in a cool, dry, and dark place, away from sunlight, heat, moisture, dust, insects, and rodents. It also means protecting them with bags and boards, and putting them in boxes and sleeves that are acid-free and archival quality. And it means handling them with care. Avoid bending them, folding them, tearing them, or staining them. Why? Well, besides pride in having a copy that presents well, if you maintain your collection long-term, some of these comic books may end up being valuable. Mine did. Fourth, for the longest time, I have had no clear collecting goal or purpose. So why are you collecting comic books? Just to read them? Is it the cover artwork? Speculation? What do you hope to achieve or gain from it? What kind of comics do you like and why? These are some questions that you should ask yourself before you start collecting comic books for the first time or starting up again. There's no correct answer, but having a clear goal or purpose will help you narrow down your choices, prioritize your purchases, and avoid wasting time and money on comics that don't fit your criteria. It will also help you enjoy your collection more and share it with others who have similar interests. Finally, I was thinking of quitting because collecting became more of a chore than a fun hobby. Simply, I wasn't having fun. This is the most important pitfall to avoid. Collecting comic books should be fun, not stressful or boring. If you find yourself losing interest, feeling overwhelmed, or regretting your decisions, then maybe it's time to take a break or rethink your strategy. Remember that comic books are meant to entertain and inspire you, not to burden or frustrate you. Don't let the hobby become a chore or an obsession. Have fun with it and enjoy the journey. So I hope this reflection on what I would have told myself when I got back into comics is helpful. Take care, and I'll see you soon.